Hey guys, Josh here again, and today I'm going to be talking to you about a software that I've been using mainly in my degree field, and that is Pro Tools. So, got a question for you. Have you guys ever used a software that you could not just go crazy with? You couldn't get your imagination out on that computer or your creativity? And well, Pro Tools for me has done that, and with all the different software out there for music production, there is one that will always help me create some of the best pieces I will ever write. And that software is Pro Tools because, in my opinion, it is probably the best for mixing and editing. Its versatility in being able to produce music, also remake movie trailers, and make some advertisements for different classes that you may be in. And last, it has so many different pads and instruments and loops at your disposal. So great. Love it. Let's say that you want to adjust the reverb when recording a person's vocals. And some of the software, you can do that, but at the same time you can't do it as the vocals are being played, which I think is really cool with Pro Tools. When you're doing this, there's a certain tool you can use called Latch. When you turn that on, as the recording is going through, you can put on the reverb and make it go higher, which would make the whole mix 100%, which would change the vocals completely, making it sound like you're so far away, or make it sound so like there's a huge echo behind it. And if you turn it the whole way down, it's just like you're just recorded right next to this person and there's no reverb at all. And you do that throughout the whole mix to make it sound like a good song, like something that you like when the drop is about to come and you know it's coming, so you turn the reverb up and up, and it's about to drop, you just drop it real quick. And it just drops, and it's just amazing. It's definitely a lot of work when you get down and do it, but another great feature is that you can assign instrument tracks or recordings to an aux track. Now, what I'm trying to say is this aux track could have what, my biggest example is reverb. And what you do is bust the instrument track to this aux track. And you can make it sound like I just said, you can use the latch button to make it go up and down. And you could toy with that, but it's always a great tool to have an aux or your instrument tracks connected to aux tracks. Like you can do it for all of your tracks, for instruments and your audio. You definitely would want to do it rather than building upon plugins and adding stuff just to the mix or the instruments itself, because that adds a lot more work to your a lot more it takes more space up on your file, so that could also mess with your work and how you want it to sound. But with my main point here, I have a link from my first source that talks about the pros and cons of Logic or Pro Tools being the better software. Now, there's definitely disagreements and agreements upon which is better, but from what I mostly saw on here, people are saying one is better for this and the other is better for that, which is saying Pro Tools is better for mixing and editing, like I'm saying, in my opinion, and Logic is better for recording and then transferring that recording over to Pro Tools to finish your work. So, I don't know. I still use Pro Tools for my recordings and everything else because I just think it's easier to do the recording and then just jump into mixing and editing. You don't have to worry about changing different softwares and backing up some work and maybe losing it on the way to the next one, and it's just not worth it. So definitely check that out and see what people are voicing their opinion about it. So check it out. To versatility, being able to edit and mix music, I think that's really cool because you can also do that with movie trailers and for advertising. Like recently, I just did in my last class actually, we did an ad for WWE, and we had to put a sound effect behind it. We had to add our own music. It's easy to do something like that because you can go with anywhere with it. You can use your imagination with the sound effects, with the different instruments, and then you had to add stuff when it would slide in and out to make it just get people's attention. And it's just fun to do stuff like that to me. And using Pro Tools just made it so much easier. And for my source for this, I had a piece when I was back at Penn State in my digital audio class. We had to remake a movie trailer. We had to strip it down completely and just use the video. We had to add in our own voices, music, sound effects, everything. And let me tell you, it was not fun. Not fun at all. But it was well worth it when it was all said and done. And believe me, Pro Tools was the big part in that. And I have the video here for you guys to look at. It's on YouTube, so I have the source for that for you guys. And lastly, with all the different pads, instruments, and loops that is on here, I could go on for days with describing each one, but like for the guitars and basses, you can sample from like a 56 Strat to just an acoustic noodling, or not noodling, sorry, where you're just plucking, and then you could go to like a very distorted, just any type of guitar. Like they have Frats, they got Strats, they got Gibson. They have so many different sounds of guitars, and it's just awesome that it's just right there in front of you for you to use. You don't have to have the instrument. It's nice. But I have this link for you guys to go to. It's all the plugins that lead to all the instruments and pads and all that I'm talking about. Now, like, you're thinking, well, plugins are just reverb and EQ and delay and all that, but some of the plugins are actually different things that lead to instruments. Like the one that I use is Expand 2, which leads to all the different guitars and basses that I'm talking about, and the synths and loops. But there's also other ones that I can't think on the top of my head right now, like a grand piano, like it's just a beautiful sounding grand piano they have. But go to that site, you'll see it all on there for you guys, and it's very helpful, and I definitely liked looking at it because it taught me a lot about the different things I could use. So, in conclusion, like I said, with all the different software out there for music production and for any type of audio involved, with mixing, editing, all that, Pro Tools is definitely it, because it has great versatility with producing music and remaking that stuff. All the different instruments and pads you can use at your disposal is just endless, and I just love it because your creativity can never be stopped from there. And I just wanted to end with saying I did not like using Pro Tools when I first started using it. It was probably the hardest thing I ever had to use. Once I started getting it down and using it more and more, it definitely was something that I was going to stick with for the rest of my time in producing and whatever I was going to go with my career with it. And I just love it because there's just, I don't know, it's just something about it that it will never stop making me want to use it, because I can always find a different sound. Rather, if I've gone through it all and said, nope, there's nothing in there, there's always one more sound probably that I didn't hear, then I can just go back and just record it and make it my own, and it's just something really cool. So, thank you guys for listening, and I hope you all have a good week.